Hey automation lovers, how is going on? Welcome back. Today we'll discuss how to fix a flaky test due to flaky text data. It's Friday 3 o'clock in the noon and you pushed your latest tweak to your branch. Your teammates already reviewed and approved your pull request, and now all that's left is to wait on the CI. But 30 minutes later, you find your build ended in red. Last build was green. Then you take a closer look on failing tests and those are unrelated to your changes. How do you feel? Bit annoyed, right? After several tries on CI, you are um, you are green to deploy your code. Obviously, the clock ticks 7 or 8 or even more by that time because you ended up in loop. Try to rerun. A flaky test is a test that both passes and fails periodically without any code changes. Definitely annoying, but they can also be quite costly since they often require engineers to rebase entire builds again and again on CI, and often wasting a lot of time in waiting for builds to complete successfully. Flaky test hinders your development experience, slow down progress, hide real bugs too, and in end costs money. There might be several reasons that test goes flaky. There might be no framework in place, poorly written tests, test data might be flaky, poorly locating the elements, or there might be test not starting in a known state, or there might be some other reasons too. It makes sense to invest time in finding root cause and providing a sustainable solution to keep your test suite robust and trustworthy. Today in this video we are going to learn how to fix a flaky test because of a flaky text. It's one of the most important reasons of the test flakiness. Let's get started. If your test is failing due to text assertions, there might be two most common issues that are expected. Text is coming up with some spaces or improper capitalization, or sometimes there might be some extra characters. So now we will learn how to handle these kind of flaky issues. First we will get started with the spaces and then remaining. To demo scenarios we need first the faulty scenarios. So for this purpose I created one web page where we can make the elements faulty, like sending faulty text. So this is the website. So first what we will do to identify this control, we write one XPath. Let us do that first. Okay, this is the control. So your deals is the text which is appearing on the UI, and the attributes and values are here. This is a tag href and id is d1, title my links, and the text which is appearing on UI your details, your deal, sorry. So now we try to identify this control using the text. For that what we need to write one XPath using the syntax. It's a tag and the syntax is brackets, and we are identifying that with the text. So we need to write a text function which is equal to the text. What is the text? Your deals. Right, see, control is identified now. This is positive scenario, and you are using this XPath thinking that the expected text is your deals is always the same. But tomorrow, or maybe in some moment, if it changes with some trailing space or preceding space, it will get failed. For example, I created the event for that. This is leading space. If we click on this, it will add one extra space. This you no need to do that. This is the intentionally making a faulty case. See, now your deals is with one extra space. Now the same XPath will not identify that. For that, what you need to do, you need to come here again and you need to add a space here. That means each and every time you need to go to your script, and whenever there is change, you need to change your XPath or your locator, whatever it may be. So having changing, after changing this, if again after some time it gets deleted, for example the text is coming back original normal, now your XPath will not work, so you need to go back and again change that back. So this is all time consuming process and wasting a lot of time and effort. So to handle this, we have a function called normalize space. So if we use that normalize space, it will remove any leading space or trailing space or both. That means if any text is coming up with some extra spaces in starting or extra spaces at end, it will remove those spaces and it will give the exact string. But you have to remember one thing, it will not remove any spaces in between the text. Okay, let us see that. How do we do that? First, normalize is a function. That is how we can normalize space. This is the function. We need to pass the text inside this function. So for that, what we do, we take this normalize space and we encapsulate the text with this function. So now your deals. Now you see, let us do leading space, added a space before, still control is working, still a locator is working, it is able to identify. Now I am adding a trailing space, that means back here. If you see here, there is a space added, and checking that the control, yeah, the locator still working. And now if we see leading and trailing spaces, if you see here leading and trailing both spaces, still this XPath is working. So this is how you need to fix that flaky in case of spaces. But you have to remember one thing, it will not remove any spaces in between. It removes spaces before and after. Now we learn fixing the text when a control is identified with the text. What if the control is identified by the attribute value instead of text? Let us see that example. Okay, let us consider this second link and inspect that. Yeah, this is the second one, new products. So for example, if we are identifying this control using that attribute value, if this attribute value is coming flaky and the text is constant and it is good, but we are not worried about the text here because the control basically identified with the attribute value. Let us see that example. Let us write the basic XPath first to identify that one. This is also a tag, href, and id is t2, title is my link. So we can use title my link, uh, at the rate, because it's control attribute, title equal to my link. Yes, now with this XPath we are able to identify the control. So now the scenario, this attribute value, because we used that here in identifying or locating the element, if this is flaky, that means it is coming with some trailing spaces or leading spaces or both, still we can use the same function normalize space, we can get rid of, and we can make the script stable. Let us see how it is. Simple. Instead of text we need to just encapsulate this title, and it works the same way. Normalize space, encapsulate this one within that, and write this. See, now control is identified and the text is same. Now let me show the flaky scenario. Now I am adding it leading space. See, the control value is now changed. There is one extra space in the attribute value. So now try identifying, still that same XPath is locating, so that is working, it's stable. For example, tomorrow it is coming with some trailing space here, instead of direct text, maybe one extra character, one empty space is coming, still it is identifying. If it is coming with both leading and trailing, still it identifies, because normalize function works before and after spaces, and it gets truncated those spaces and gives, but it doesn't look for the space in between word or in between sentence. So this is how normalize function works with the text or with the control attribute. So in both ways it works. Now let us see the other examples. Let us say your test is failing this time because the expected text appeared in a different case. So whenever you run the script, it is appearing in different cases, like completely lowercase or sometimes completely uppercase, or it might be some mixed cases, and you do not have any control because it is coming from the source, from the application. So in that case you need to handle those cases by ignoring the cases. So now we will learn how to ignore cases and how to identify the control with these ignoring cases, and how to make it stable. Let me show you the failing scenario, how locator gets failed to identify the control in such cases. Let us focus on the first control. Let me inspect that. Let me write a basic XPath to identify that control using text. Now we need to use text function to get the text, and text is equal to my deals. Sorry, it's your deals. Yeah, it's your deals. So now having this, we are able to identify the control, um, and we are expecting the Y is in capital and D is in capital, and remaining letters are all in small letters. But unfortunately, application giving a case differently, like for example upper cases. See, here it's showing your deals, but this is fine. This is not a bug from the application side. So but script is failing because we are not able to handle this case. So for that, if you see, the same locator is not able to identify the control. Earlier it was. So what we need to do, we need to write everything in capital, but this is not the correct case. Each and every time it shows in different case. Now it is in upper, and after some time again it back to the original cases, or it might be small letters. So to this is failing scenario. And even if you see, if it is lower, see, all lower it changed. Now control gets failed to identify that lower case scenarios. How we need to handle this case? This can be easily fixable by a function called translate. So this translate function takes three arguments as input, and it converts all the letters into whatever the desired. Let me show you how. Okay, first let me show you the syntax. This is translate, and it takes three arguments. Okay, the first argument is expected text, and the second argument, um, characters to translate, and third one, characters to translate to. So these three parameters it will take, and it will do the conversion. Let me explain this in a better way. Let me take a notepad and uh, show you the example. Okay, for example, if we have a word apple, let us see that. Translate apple, and characters to translate, just for example ABC, and characters to translate to XYZ. And if this is the case, what will happen? This function works character by character. Even though those are looking like a string or word, it will take only character by character. For example, A, it picks A, and it checks for occurrence of that particular character in the expected text. In this example, A is there, so it goes to a third parameter, and it takes the first character and replaces that with A. In our case, in apple, A is replaced with X, and next character is P. There are no P's we are referring to replace, so it will not do anything. And remaining characters A, P, P and L, E also not there, so the final output will be X pill. So this is what it will do. So it is simply replaces the first character with the first character from here, second character from second parameter to second character from third parameter, something like this. And if you have a function like this, the expected string, this is awesome. Characters to translate small case ABCD, all ABCDFG till Z, and in third, characters to translate to all capital letters. So if A occurs in this one, and it replaces with the capital A, same small b occurs and it replaces with capital. All small letters will be replaced with all capital letters. So in this case it will be This is awesome. This is all about the translate function and parameters and little examples. Now let us see how we can implement this function in our real issue. Our control is this one, your deals. Let me do identify again. This is your deals. So let me write complete translate function. Translate with 3 parameters, right? The first parameter is the text what we want to um, find and replace. Here in our example is text. This gives the control text. Now we need to write characters to replace. Here the characters, I want all characters to be in small irrespective of the case, so I can write your deals. And the third one, I need to put them in capital to convert into capital. Your DALS deals. So output will be capital letters. See, now it's identifying. The control is identifying, even though it is showing like camel case letters, still control is identifying. For example, let me show you if it is get converted into capital letters, still it is identifying because we are comparing with the capital letters, but irrespective of the case it will identify. For example, if you see small letters, now all converted into small letters, still your control is able to identify. So this is how this function works. One thing you need to notice here, we are trying to replace an empty space with what? Exactly with empty space, this one. So there is no meaning that we are replacing an empty space with empty space, so you can delete that from here and also from here, still control behaves same because it doesn't consider the space, so it will consider only these letters replaces with these letters, so space will be as it is from the original. What if you are facing an issue with spaces and also capitalization issue, like the spaces and mixed cases? For example, you are getting leading space and a trailing space and also mixed characters. What if you can use normalize space function along with this translate function? Let us see how it is. We have a text function here, just we need to wrap this text function with normalize space like this. Normalize space bracket and enclose the text here. Now you see, even though it is having leading and trailing spaces, still it is identifying. This is how you need to use in combination. This translate function you can use instead of normalize space, but not all the time because it's a different usage, but still sometimes you can use translate function instead of normalize. So let us see in this example, we placed normalize to the text function. Let us remove that and let us see without normalize function how we can achieve the same thing. Here for example, I said if there is a space, let me consider here a space. Here small s will be replaced with capital S, the space will be replaced with nothing, because we are not putting anything. So that means just delete the space. Let us see how it works. It is not identifying. Why? The reason is here. So remove this. Now you see, now it worked with ignore case and spaces, but the difference here is it is ignoring space in between. Earlier case, when we are using normalized space function, it was only doing preceding and following, but in this case if we use translate, even though it is space is appearing in between, replace it. That's the difference. So we need to use case to case basis how the requirement demands. Let us see one more example. Click this. See, you have so many spaces, so many ignore case issues. In that case, if you do this, yeah, still this function is working because we are using empty space here to be replaced with nothing. So it is removing all the empty spaces and converting all the letters into capital letters, and it is comparing with the capital. So it's able to identify the control. Now what if there is unnecessary period in sentence? For example, uh, if tomorrow your control is behaving like this, throwing one um, period, this will not identify the current one. So what we need to do, just we need to put one extra period here and here, not to do anything, so it will just ignore that period. Here the text is your deal, so there is no s. In previous cases there was your deals, s was there, so just remove that s here. See, now our control is identified, located with the same value, even though it has some unnecessary periods, some spaces and capitalization problems and all, still it is able to identify. That's the power of this translate function. So you can use however you want, you can replace any characters, and that you can do. That's your homework basically. I think with this pretty much we covered all different combinations and scenarios. Hope you like this video, and from my side one humble advice: you need to do thorough practice, otherwise it will not be easier to remember all these things and scenarios. So just go ahead and do your hands dirty. Then we'll meet in next video. Please subscribe to this channel and click bell icon so you will never miss any future updates. Signing off, your Kiran.